Tonight, tactical evacuations. A major fire breaks out in Fort St. John. Wildfires. A string of fires burning north of Tumbler Ridge. And community assurance. The mayor of Dawson Creek speaks out on recent violence. Good evening and thank you very much for joining us. And we begin tonight with a major fire breaking out late this afternoon in Fort St. John. The police are going door to door north of Fish Creek, issuing tactical evacuations to some residents. The fire started in the Fish Creek Community Forest. Traffic backed up near Northern Lights College as crews rushed to the scene. Now, Mounties have closed some roads in the area while the northbound lane of Rose Prairie remains open. Smoke can be seen for miles. So far, no word on how much the fire has grown, how it started, or if any structures have been destroyed. The public is being asked to avoid the area to allow emergency crews to work. The city of Fort St. John saying they will update the situation as more information becomes available. Well, 5 separate wildfires breaking out north of Tumbler Ridge last night. Highway 52 North closed in both directions for much of last night and today. The fires range in size from 50 hectares down to 1. The 2 of the blazes remain out of control, while the other 3, including the largest blaze, are being held. They broke out late yesterday afternoon, 74 kilometers north of Tumbler Ridge. They're burning in an area from Brassy Road to Bear Hole Lake Road. The BC Wildfire Service says 15 firefighters and 2 helicopters are working together in an effort to suppress the fires. Warmer and windy conditions this afternoon helping fanning the flames. All 4 fires are near the road. They're believed to be all human caused. While the highway does remain closed, motorists can check Drive BC for any updates. The Wildfire Service is reminding the public to be mindful and responsible when it's this warm and windy. Restrictions for watering your lawn in Taylor are in effect as of today. Stage 1 watering restrictions are in effect from May the 1st until September the 30th. Residential lawn watering will be allowed on odd-numbered days between 6 and 8 a.m. and then again from 8 till 10 p.m. Meanwhile, for those looking to water their grass outside of those hours, a free permit is required. Watering lawn outside the permitted times could result in a $100 fine. The district also reminding residents not to fill their ponds or their pools. Well, the mayor of Dawson Creek is reassuring the public after 2 murders in just over a 2-month period.
I think the message is as we hear, loud and clear, the concern of our residents, and I live here as well, and so does council. I have full faith in our RCMP, our staff sergeant, our sergeant, the team at the RCMP detachment are doing an unbelievable job, and they can only share so much, and that's to really protect the community. If they felt that there was, a danger to the community, they would notify us, and we work very closely with them, as well as like North District and the province. They're all aware what's going on. They've all stepped up. They're all putting all resources at it.
In January, Joel Freeman was murdered in the 1000 block of 102nd Avenue. Then in April, Emily Ogden's body was found in Eris. Both murders are believed to be part of the ongoing drug turf war in Dawson Creek. Over the last 2 years, 10 people have been murdered, while there's only been 1 charge laid. Darcy Dober says the province and the RCMP have done a good job in supporting the local RCMP detachment. Dober says after a federal and provincial election, the city will now reach out again to BC Solicitor General, Public Safety Minister, and the Attorney General to keep the issue at the forefront in Victoria. Dober also giving credit to Larry Neufeld and the work the new MLA is doing on behalf of the community. Dober says everyone needs to keep pushing the province and Ottawa to get tough on repeat offenders. Premier David Eby says the province is preparing to mark an official day of remembrance and mourning following the deadly attack on a Filipino festival in Vancouver this weekend. The province has declared tomorrow the official day of mourning for the tragedy. It's an opportunity for all British Columbians to come together, grieve the loss of innocent lives, and recognize the contributions of the victims that they made to their community. Eby's announced his government will be initiating a review of the modernization of the Mental Health Act of BC. Eby says measures had been delayed due to an upcoming court challenge. That challenge questioned the constitutionality of involuntary care. But the Premier does admit today the BC government cannot hold off any longer. 11 people were killed and dozens others injured on Saturday after being struck by a vehicle. The accused killer faces 8 second-degree murder charges. He was in voluntary care with mental health issues, but on leave in the community. Tensions have come to a head on Haidaguay following the death of a community member. The killing of Luke Pearson has led to protests, property damage, and questions about the intersection of Indigenous and Canadian law. Anna McMillan explains.
A car is crushed.
There we go.
Rocks are thrown.
There we go.
And homes are demolished on the remote BC archipelago of Haidaguay. Facebook posts indicate these are the homes of people who have been shunned by the community. This follows the death of Luke Pearson, who was killed last week in Skidegate when police allege he was struck by a vehicle. 32-year-old Tyson Young has been charged with second-degree murder.
I'm not sure about destroying the homes, but the councils do have the ability to banish people.
That's newly elected MP and former Haisla Nation chief Ellis Ross. Community members are accusing Young's associates of having ties to the drug trade. According to videos shared online, they left Haidaguay surrounded by protesters.
A lot of First Nations wanted the Haidaguay people to know, you're not alone. You know, we're standing with you.
Following their departure, the RCMP say Young's family was met by more protesters.
They were also being physically prevented from, getting sleep or eating or even refueling on the way. The family feared for their safety and from the actions of the protesters, and we were engaged.
Mounties say that borders on criminal harassment, so they gave the family an escort.
Get out of town! Keep driving!
There's a process underway for the accused, and that process needs to continue without interference.
The shunning and property damage are raising questions around how Canadian and Indigenous law intersect or clash.
If you ask people in the who work as part of the Canadian justice system, they're going to say what the Haidaguay are doing is illegal. And what the Haidaguay members of the Haidaguay community are saying is essentially, we don't care. We're asserting our ancestral laws, the laws that have governed our community since time immemorial, and looking out for our community safety according to our laws.
Now, at the center of this, of course, is the Haida Nation. It shared a post on Facebook saying the focus must be on healing and supporting the families who are hurting. We requested comment from council and were told more information will be made available next week. Anna McMillan, CTV News, Victoria.
Well, to Alberta now, where it's another record-breaking year for deaths from influenza cases. And with low vaccination rates in the area, doctors say Danielle Smith's government could be doing more to help.
Kind of been underselling the flu vaccine at the Alberta government level over the last few years, and that's got to change.
If people had really been encouraged to get all the flu shots immediately upon, pandemic exit, I think we would be in a potentially better situation.
193 people died from influenza in Alberta this season, and that's the highest total on record since 2009. Doctors say the high death rate could be related to ongoing impacts from COVID-19, but once again, low vaccination rates are at the center of the issue, just like with the measles outbreak in Alberta. Only 21% of Albertans got their flu shots this season. That's also the lowest total since 2009. Well, talk of Western alienation, even separation, is being fueled by the results of Monday's federal election. And today, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith said, although she believes in her province's sovereignty within Canada, she will not discourage citizen-triggered referendums. At the same time, a First Nation sent the Premier a cease and desist letter. Kathy Lee has more on the growing polarization between East and West.
In the lead up to the election, an Angus Reid poll found 30% of Albertans would vote to separate from Canada if the Liberals were re-elected. This week, Premier Danielle Smith tabled a new bill that would make it easier for voters in Alberta to force a referendum to break from Canada. That has prompted the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation to issue a cease and desist letter to the Premier, saying she is attempting to manufacture a national unity crisis. The letter states that her actions and statements are in breach of their treaties.
The purpose of a referendum is to let every single Albertan have a say on matters of important public policy. Every other decision we make is a delegated decision to a member of the Legislative Assembly. We don't necessarily, through the Legislative Assembly, deal with everything that's of interest to Albertans. So this is enabling direct democracy. I think we should embrace it.
A legal expert says opposition from First Nations is just one of the obstacles to the separatist movement. There also needs to be a clear majority of Albertans to vote in favor of separation.
Even if that happens, it would just initiate a long process of negotiation with the rest of Canada.
With the UCP majority in Alberta, the referendum bill is expected to pass and may come into effect in a matter of months. An Alberta Independence rally is being planned for this weekend.
Prime Minister Carney will address the media tomorrow for the first time since the Liberals won the federal election Monday night. The Prime Minister's office says Carney will outline the priorities of his new minority government. He'll also take questions from reporters. Carney campaigned on standing up to Donald Trump and U.S. tariffs. Yesterday, the U.S. president said he'll meet with Carney at the White House within the next week. Still, there has been no comment on that from the Prime Minister's office. Meanwhile, the Liberals have lost a seat in Quebec. The Terrebonne riding has gone back to the Bloc Québécois after a post-election vote validation process. The seat count for the two parties is now 168 for the Liberals and 23 for the Bloc. Also in Ottawa, where there's speculation Green Party leader Elizabeth May could tap to join Prime Minister Carney's cabinet.
Sure. I mean, but it's pretty hypothetical. We haven't had that as a tradition in Canada, whereas other countries have.
May, who won the Greens' only seat in the federal election, says she'd take the role if asked. She says she's also considering throwing her name in for the Speaker of the House once the next Parliament begins. May said if she did take either role, she would remain as the Green Party member of Parliament for her riding of Saanich Gulf Islands. Canada's oldest company could be getting a lifeline. Reports say the Hudsons Bay company has attracted a bid from Canadian Tire. Two sources familiar with the sale process say the household goods chain has made a bid for some of HBC's intellectual property. Anyone interested in owning Hudsons Bay assets had until 5 p.m. yesterday to make a formal bid as part of the retailer's creditor protection court case. A Toronto investment corporation has made a bid for the company's intellectual property, while billionaire BC Mall owner Wee Hong Lee Yu has said she would make a pitch to run some of the Bay's stores. Well, there's no testimony heard today as the sexual assault trial of the 5 former members of Canada's World Junior team because one of the jurors was ill today. The judge expects the juror will be back tomorrow. Washington Capitals forward Taylor Raddysh will continue his testimony. Raddysh was on the same World Junior team as the 5 accused, but he testified yesterday he doesn't remember much about the evening of the alleged incident at a London, Ontario hotel in 2018 after a Hockey Canada gala. Well, in Washington today, Donald Trump announced he's reassigning his national security advisor. Mike Waltz faced criticism after it was revealed he added a journalist to a Signal chat in March. The app was being used by top national security aides to discuss military plans. Trump said he will nominate Waltz to be the next U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. The president added Waltz has worked hard to put America's interests first. Marco Rubio will serve as acting national security advisor on an interim basis, and he'll also continue his role as Secretary of State. Well, hundreds of thousands of people around the world turned out today for rallies and protests on May Day in support of workers' rights and social issues. In Istanbul, riot police arrested protesters near Taksim Square after some of them tried to break through barriers. The jailing of the city's mayor was among the key issues. And in South Korea, demonstrators expressed unease over Donald Trump's trade policies amid fears of a global economic instability. The holiday is also known as International Workers' Day. All right, please do stay tuned. I'll be right back after the break with weather.